guys, Patty from Patty's Crafty Spot, and I'm here to share with you my latest design team project for Country Craft Creations. And I received Carta Bella's Flower Garden in the mail. And let me show you what I made. So I made this folio, and it is huge. I didn't intend on it becoming so big, but it did. So this measures about a 7 1/4 wide by 9 tall, and it is about 2 1/4 inches deep, the spine. Although I am thinking the spine probably should have been a little bigger, but I suppose it depends on how much you think you're going to stuff yours. If you think you're going to stuff it bigger, I would probably add a 1/2 inch to it maybe, just to give yourself a little bit more room. I actually redesigned an album from a few years ago for specifically that reason, and I added a few new elements to it, so you had something else new. However, my original idea to make the spine bigger, and then I gave you some more elements, I did the same thing I did originally, is I made it too chunky. So you might want to just back out a few things, but overall, I think it's pretty good. It will hold a lot of photos. So let me real quick just walk you through what it was that I used for this. So again, I used the Carta Bella Flower Garden collection. This is the sticker sheet, and you can see what's left. I also used a few of the brads from that collection and some Prima flowers, and these are the Watercolor Floral. And I also added, it might be kind of hard to, well, you can kind of see it, I think, some of the Fantasy Fibers. They just add another element, a little sparkle, and I kind of like that. It looks really pretty. So let's, oh, and I also used seam binding, which this matched perfectly to the paper collection that Tamara sent me. And then you can see the little brads, and then the chipboard embellishments that come with the brads and the sticker sheet and the flowers. And then from the sticker sheet, I added this cute little telephone sticker. I really like that. I wanted to try to design something around this. It just didn't end up happening, but I love the little telephone booth. And then the back side over here, I added a little sticker to the bottom, kind of like a little signature right there. So let's go ahead and take a peek. So it opens up like this. I did try to keep the embellishments. I used more of the flatter ones of the flowers. There was one flower, it was a rose, and it was really thick, and it wouldn't have really worked very well on the cover to keep it as flat as possible. So anyway, these two sides mirror image each other. So it opens up into 4 sections. It will be hard to get it all on the camera, but you can see right here. So I'm going to close this side down and walk you through over here on this side. So over here on the first section, it has a little belly band with a photo mat. You can go ahead and add some extra photo mats and stuff underneath to keep everything closed like that. Or this right here, this photo mat is just enough space where you can tuck it under and keep everything, keep this whole page section closed. But anyway, it opens up like this. So you open up, room for a photo. And I'm going to keep running out of room here. So right here you have a nice little corner pocket, so you can go ahead and add photos. And then on this side here, it's a set of stacked pockets. So it does go up even further, like that. And then they just come out. And then it opens up like this. So right here you have a whole spread where you have room to tuck photos into the pockets. If you want, you can just go ahead and keep loose photos down there. Out of all the cut apart cards, I went ahead and made photo mats with them. And they go like that, and then these 2 flaps will keep everything closed, and then you just close it all back up, just like that. And then you come over to the second page here, or second section, and another set of some stacked pockets. adding some of the stickers, and then this flips open right here like that, so you have room to go ahead and add a photo layout, photo spread, and then this opens this way. So again, 2 more photo mats. And then right here, this is a different little unique pocket, opens up like this. So you have that, and then flip it over. So you have kind of a half page with a pocket, and that's just to add some design to the pages to give it some interest. And then those go back in there. And then these ones on this side, just like that. And then you have a shallow pocket, and this one goes the longer way. So again, with that whole design. And then this flips open, along with some more photo mats in here. And then over here opens up, and then in the back section you have a pocket to go ahead and add more photos. But as you can see right now, if you were to hold it like this, you have a nice layout here of photos. So it gives a nice look to all the photos. You can see them all. And then we close all back up. And then we just go ahead and start back over. So over here, so again, the stacked pockets like this. So as you can see right here, this is how this looks, and they flip opposite of each other like that. And then again, like this. So then if you have photos and stuff, you have a nice layout this way if you're opening the book like this. And then they go like this. And then you can go up like here. So lots of fun ideas to go ahead and have your photos tell a story. And then over here, same thing again, opens up. Just like this with the stacked pockets. You have them there, there, and down here. And then right here, again, just like that. Nice room for lots of photos and loose photos. And then everything gets contained right inside like this. This first. And then this goes right underneath. And if you want to go ahead and add extra to keep it closed. And then it all closes back up. And you have your little tie to go ahead and keep it all closed. So if you do stuff it, you have a way to keep that closed just like that. Hey guys, Patty from Patty's Crafty Spot, and we are going to go ahead and get started. We're going to make a new folio, and I am going to be using this gorgeous paper here, and this is called Flower Garden by Carta Bella. I received this a little bit ago from Tamara, and of course everything's so busy I didn't get a chance to make anything yet, but today we are going to go ahead and make a folio. I have all this gorgeous paper. I've got some flowers she sent me along with the brads that go with the collection, some pretty ribbons, and some seam binding in here. Pull it out. Absolutely gorgeous. The colors are perfect for this. And also some art glitter, and this one's called Baby's Breath, and it's like this. I can get it in the camera. This gorgeous pink color. So let's go ahead and get started. So to make this folio, this is what you're going to need, and so if I can get it on the picture. This is going to be the order of the layout. So let me give you the measurements. So you're going to need 2 pieces at 6 3/4 by 9, and these would be your 2 end pieces. You need 2 pieces at 3/4 of an inch by 9, and that's where these go. The main part of the covers are going to be 7 1/4 by 9, and your spine is going to be 2 by 9. So that is exactly how this will lay out when you put it all together. So basically what it's going to do is go like this, and then it all will fold up like that. So what we're going to do first is, let's get rid of the smaller pieces. We are going to go ahead and wrap all these pieces like I've been doing. I've been following Tamara's way of wrapping the covers, and I really like the look of it, so I'm going to go ahead and do it on this. So I will wrap one with you, and I will wrap the rest off camera because you don't need to see exactly how to do that. So I am going to go ahead and add score tape to the whole back of this. All right, so I went ahead, added score tape to the entire back of this, and I want to have a 1-inch wrap around this. So what I did was I cut my paper at 8 3/4 by 11, and that is what this is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and use these spacers that Tamara sells in the shop that are absolutely amazing. I'm going to do that, and we're going to stick this down. And just like that. And continue with that. All right, and then we have all stuff down. Just going to make sure we're good. Just working that around the chipboard a little bit. So now I'm going to add tape around to the border. All right, so I went ahead and added score tape all around, and I'm just going to go ahead and trim off my corners. And you can go ahead and use scissors just to trim it. You can use fancy tools. I'm using this little tool. I just find it easier, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I have to use all the tools. Plus, I love tools. So, all right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get all of them kind of creased over. And I'm going to get my bone folder. I'm trying to keep anything shiny out of the camera view because it picks up a glare. So I'm just going to go ahead and burnish this up against the side as I just kind of bring it over. Just like that. And then the sides. And then I'm going to do this to the rest of the larger pieces, so the other 4. So I'm going to just smush in the little corner there. So I'm just tucking that paper in. Like that. And then what I like to do is once I have it down, just go ahead and make sure that those corners are squared off in case any of the paper folding over. And what I also like to do is just push on where the seam meets, because it's kind of raised up a little bit, and I want it to go as flat as possible. So just kind of work on it a little bit to push that all down. And you don't have to do too much, but it does help it. So you just eliminate some of the bulk, and the paper just kind of smushes in, so you can get it a little flatter that way. And then again, same thing, pushing in the corner. Like that. And there we go. Looks all nice and clean. Get that down, and this side. All right. That looks good. So this is what we have right now. I'm going to go ahead and do it to my other 3 pieces, and I'll be back and show you what the next step is. I'm going to go ahead and do the spine piece now. So this is the 2 by 9. I cut a piece of cardstock that is 6 by 11, so I can wrap this. And I want to have 2 inches on each side. So what I'm going to do is just score down at 2 inches just to make one spot where I know that this needs to go ahead and sit. And I'm going to use one of my spacers for the top to make sure that I'm an inch from the top and the bottom. And I covered the whole back in score tape. So I'm going to just put this up to the score line, just like that. And just go ahead, push it all down. And let's go ahead and give some folds in it. And what I want to do is bring this all the way over. And just crease it, and then do the same thing to the other side. Okay, and let's go ahead and get this side folded up. And then just folding this over. And giving all that a good burnish. The same thing for the bottom. So I'm going to hold it like this and then just push out. And it should line it up. And then give it a crease. Okay. And this is what we have right now. So what I want to do now too is just want to go ahead and push in up against the edge of the chipboard, because what I'm going to end up doing is attaching this on top of here, but I want to go ahead and make sure that the chipboard is kind of folded down and then back up. So when you put this on the top of it, it doesn't create like a step. You want to get it as the same flat as the rest of it. So just burnish it down good. Get all those creases on the other side. And you're going to do the same thing to the smaller pieces. They just might need a little extra work because they are smaller, but you're going to do the exact same thing with the smaller pieces. But this bigger piece shows you what I'm doing. So the next step, I'm going to put some tape across the top to stick that part down. And let's do the other side. So one thing real quick before I do that, I'm going to use a Sharpie. And just in case my wrap isn't all the way, I'm just going to go ahead and cover the edges here with a black Sharpie. And then don't forget the sides. And this one. And you can see I'm not going very far. You don't have to go too far up on it. Okay, just like that. And now the next thing what I want to do is I do want to trim a little bit. I probably didn't need to put tape all the way across. I could have just gotten away with it part way because I'm seeing that now. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it. Let's see. I'll trim it this way. So let me see if I can zoom in a little more. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this right here. I'm going to go kind of up to where the chipboard is, but just over a tad. Like that. So if you see your crease line, you're going to want to go to the outside of your crease line. And then you have this. So then, oops, then you have the little flap. So you can take the tape off. And I'm going to make sure it's burnished all the way up and over. And then because you have the tape going all, whoops, I'm off camera. Because you have the tape going all the way over, see how that kind of sticks over a little bit? You want a little bit of that because then now you can push it up against the edge of the chipboard and kind of get it to wrap around that edge. And then that's where the black Sharpie comes in handy, just in case you didn't leave any of that extra there. So I just burnish those up against the edges, just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. So remember going to just to the outside of the fold marks. Like that. And then if I fold it up, you can see that little bit of overhang. And like that. And then see right there. And then we're just going to burnish it into the chipboard. So you have that. And then go ahead and work the sides. Like that. And I'm going to go ahead and add some score tape, and then I'm going to trim it. So it's going to be too big. Let me use a smaller one. So you want to bring it close to this area here, but not all the way up to it. So you're probably going to want to leave, probably an 1/16 of an, an 1/8 of an inch. So you're going to do that to both sides. And do this side. I could trim it first and then put the score tape on, but I find it easier just to add the score tape first, then trim it, because then I'm not having to get any tape overhang. You'll see in 1 minute what I'm talking about. All right, so I have this on, and you can see that I'm away. If I fold it down, you can see how much space is there and there. So now what you want to do is trim this. So what you're going to do is from the edge, so the edge right here on this side, just go ahead and chop that off. And you're going to do it to all 4 sides. Just like that. Let me zoom out because I'm getting off screen. Okay. And then you want your pieces, you want the larger of the pieces, so you want the 7 1/4 by 9. We're going to work with these 2 here. And what I'm going to do is add some score tape because I want to bring it up to the edge of this. But I'm not going to go, so you can see where your book wrapped, the angles. I'm going to put my tape in there, and I'm just going to come just short of all the way up. And that is because when this lays on top of it, like this, if you have the tape hanging over extra, you're going to see it. So if you just go a little short, you don't have to worry about it. So let me do this one. You can always trim it off afterwards. But if you don't have to, you just do it that way. And you're putting it all the way to the edge of this because you want this part here to cover the part that you didn't tape there. All right, so now what you want to do is we're going to go ahead and burnish this in. And I'm going to use my scoreboard because I want to make sure I'm even. So what I'm going to do is when I remove all the tape, this is going to get put on right like this. So I'm making sure everything is going to be right along the top there. So let's go ahead and remove this side. Okay, and holding it all. And then this is what you have. So we're going to do the other side. And I'm just going to and if I put it just like that, it gives me just enough room. And press it on. And there we go. Just like that now. And you can see how nice and flat the book lays both ways. So pretty. So now what I'm going to do is what I did for this, I'm going to go ahead and do exactly the same way for these guys. Just keep in mind they're a little smaller, so I want to also have a 2-inch on each side. So this is going to be, we're going to cut it 4 3/4 by 11 for the cardstock and wrap it exactly the way this one was. So if you aren't sure on these, just rewatch how I did this and just, you know, instead of this one, just pretend I'm using this one. It's the same method. I don't want to just do a video because the video is going to be really long as it is, but I'm literally wrapping it identical to this one here. So I went ahead and covered these two pieces up. So this is what I have, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and attach all this the exact same way we attach the other pieces. So this one is going to go on here like that, and then you're going to use one of your smaller pieces and it's going to go on the other side here. So let's go ahead and get my scoreboard. So it's going to be just a little difficult only because of the length of this. So I think I'm going to work with this way only because I'm right-handed. So I'm going to put this on like this, making sure that's lined up, and then I'm going to go ahead and stick it on just like that, although I did forget to add my tape here. So let's get that on real quick. So let's do the first one first, and then we'll do the other one. So here's my tape from this side, this one. So these are the outer pieces that we're attaching to. So this is what we have made with the spine, and now we're attaching it to this part here. So I'm going to line it up. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to leave this, let's see, we'll do it like this here. So then I have my 6 3/4 piece. I'm going to go ahead and add some tape on this one. And take off that. And then we're going to just go down and see how far I can get down here. That, and then we're going to take this off. and pushing it against the top and the side, lining all that up. And now we have to do the other side, so let's get some tape on those. And then tape on this one. Okay, and I'm gonna flip this over. Have this piece, so let's get the tape off this one. And off this side. Like that. And then the other side, so let's get rid of this one. Okay. I'm pressing it against the top and bring it down. And this is what we have now. So it is really long. Get rid of this. This is what we have. So this is how we had lined it up, doing all these pieces. So what it is, it's going to fold like this and fold up like that. And there we go. That's what we got. So now we're going to go ahead and work on designing the pages. And then it will open all the way up. So the only other thing I want to do before we get started on our pages is our spines, the two little spines and then the big one. We need to cover those up because we're going to be decorating on the backs of the chipboard. So we just want to cover up any of this. So what I did was I just cut a piece out of my scraps from when I cut my black cardstock, and you can see kind of hanging over, and I did cut it at 8, so that it's 9-inch height, and I cut this at 8, what did I do, 8 7/8, so just a little below the 9, because I want it to cover this part, but I don't want any overhang, so I cut it just a tad shorter. So the only thing I'm going to do now is I added tape to the whole thing, and I'm just going to stick it down. And it will also reinforce your pieces on your book. So, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to burnish and slowly lifting the book just to get the creases in here, and I don't want the paper to crack. So I'm going to do that for all the sides. And as I crease it, I'm just going to keep going over. And then I'm just going to slowly just kind of work it a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to go too hard with it because I don't want anything to crack. But I do want to go ahead and give that a good crease so my book will fold nice. And I'm going to do it for the little side pieces too. So just use your scraps, and you just want to go a little wider just to clean it all up. And then take your time burnishing it to get the fibers in the paper to kind of break down a little bit. That way you won't have to worry about any cracking. And then just keep working them slowly to get them to go ahead and fold nice. And what you want to eventually do is keep working it and then get it to kind of go flat on itself. But do it slowly. That way you don't rip nothing. All right, so I'm going to do it to these two side pieces. Then we'll do pages. So we're going to get started designing the pages. So let me just show you now what we're going to be working with and how we're going to number them to keep them in order. So because we have all these flaps here, this is how we're going to do it. So this is going to be flap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so we are going to work on flaps 1 and 6, which is these two here. And this is just going to be a very simple corner pocket because when we have the book closed, we don't want too much bulk in there. So what I did was I cut a piece that is 7.5 by 7.5 and scored at a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. And we're just going to go ahead and add score tape to all 4 of those sides. I just had to check because, oh, telephone. Okay, so I went ahead and added score tape all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I want to cut from this corner to this corner. So I'm going to cut that in my paper cutter. And this is what we have now. So we're going to trim up some of these pieces before we attach it. So this one right here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it back. And then I'm just going to flip it because it's easier. And then right here where the X is, we're just going to chop that off as well. And then the same thing for this one. There. And there. And that one. So now we're just going to fold back on all those score lines. And make sure there's no overlapping right there. And then the same thing for this one. And no overlapping, so we're good. Okay. And now we're going to attach these. So like I said, these are going to go on flaps 1 and 6. I'm just going to open this up so I can lay it down flat. So I'm lining it all up right to the edge on both. Looks good like that. And stick those down like that there. And then again right here, so I'm going to put it on this side, and I'm just going to do the same thing because it's easier for me to get it on straight if it's flat. And that is good right there. There. And just like that now. So there you go. So we have the 2 flaps right here. So again, that is on flaps, or 2 corner pockets, and that's on flaps 1 and 6. So now we're going to go ahead and move over to flap 2. Okay, so now we're going to work on flaps 2 and 5, which is going to be this inside and this inside. So it's the opposite of the one where we just put the corner pockets on. So let's go ahead and get started. These 2 pages are going to mirror image each other. So let's see. Can I do it one more over? Yep, so you can see right here. And these page designs are brought to you by nature because I don't know if you can hear them, but the pea frogs are going insane out there. So I'd close my window, but then I'll melt. So we're just going to listen to some pea frogs. So to get started, so piece A, you're going to cut this piece. You're going to need to do these measurement or cuts twice, one for each side. We're going to walk through one, and then we mirror image it on the other side. So I've already got those pieces cut, so we'll just put it together because it does go together pretty quickly. So piece A is 6 1/4 by 4 3/4, and you're going to score on the 4 3/4 at a 1/2 inch. And then piece B, you're going to need 2 pieces at 6 3/4 by 8 1/2. And on this one, you're going to score at a 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. And you're scoring across the top with the 6 3/4 side. So let's get those ones in first. So let's fold. So I'm going to do that one, and then this one. That. And then we're just going to go ahead and snip off the corners. So I'm snipping off to the first score line, and we're leaving that because we're kind of creating a gusset, because when we add pockets and pattern paper and tags and photo mats, we want to allow some room for expansion. So that's why we have that little gusset there. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is put these on. So fold it back on the first one here, so you can still see that second score line. And you're going to put this on, lining it up almost to where the book folds, so you can see where it folds, but we're not going to go all the way to there. So we're going to leave about, let's go with a 1/16 of an inch, making sure we're squared off along here and at the top that we're in the center. And when it all looks like we're good, we can go ahead and attach it. So as you can see, that's what we have right there, and then the book still folds. You don't have to worry about it catching on anything. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing to the opposite side. So fold it down like that. You can use this one now. You can line it up because that page is going to kind of overlap onto it. So again, you're going to want to be probably, let's go 1/16 of an inch. And you can always fold this one over to make sure that you're lined up. Oops, I just hit it. Let's try it again. Okay, that looks good. So I'm happy with it. I'm going to stick it down. So we have that. So we have the little flaps right here. So now you're going to take your A piece and fold it. Now this is literally just a photo mat. And you're going to take your flap that's closest to the inside. Just press it down so it's flat. You're going to put this one on top of it, but put it right up to the score line. That's the top one here. Put it right on there. So you can press this down to get it even. You can off center it, whatever you like. And then attach it. And this is going right on the top. And you can see right there. So when you move this one back up, you can see right there. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do, so we're going to add stacked pockets. So you're going to need to cut one piece at 7 by 3 1/2, score on each end at a 1/2 inch and the bottom 1/2 inch. Apply tape to those 3 sides. And then you're going to cut 2 of them at 2 1/2 by 7, scoring on both sides at a 1/2 inch and on the bottom at a 1/2 inch. Just apply tape to these sides. And we're going to work on this page here, the one where we've just added this little flap to. So we're going to cut those. Like that. And then just trim off the corners a little bit. See if I can move that camera down because I keep going off the camera. So we have that right there. And fold. Make sure there is no overlapping. that one we're good. If it was, go ahead and trim it a little more. And these ones I'm going to burnish down because they're pockets, and I do want these to sit flat. On flaps and stuff like that, I don't worry too much about burnishing them. So now we have these two pieces. Again, same thing. We're just not going to fold on the bottom. So we have this. Do it one more time. And then little corners. Okay, we have this. We're just only going to fold the side pieces and burnish those ones. This one. Okay, we have these. So now we can go ahead and add our bottom piece. So we're going to put this one right on the bottom, and it should fit perfectly side to side, top to bottom, or side to side to the bottom, not top. And I'm going to hold it, and I'm good. Right there, and as long as you've put your flap all the way up to the score line here on that bottom page, your pocket should not be jammed up at all on this piece. All right, so now we're just stick this one down. Give it a good press, and now our stack pockets. So this is this one. We're just going to go ahead and stick this one right in here. Just like that. Make sure you're all the way to this edge, and again, just be careful of that flap. And that one. Right there, and then we're going to put one more on. So same thing. It's going to go right in here. Make sure we're lined up. If you have to do any adjustments, go ahead and fix that. There. And that, and then you can see the flap still goes down nice. And if you want to, just give it a good burnish. And that's what we have there. Now we are going to go ahead and need to lay this down more. Need it to go flat. So now we have our two flaps like this. So now we're going to go ahead and do piece D, which is a belly band, which is 9.5 by 1.5, scoring at each end. And just go ahead and fold those down. And burnish that. So now you're going to put this on, and we're going to put it probably about here. So I am coming over, let's see, I'm going to do about 1 inch. So actually, I know my spacers are 1 inch. So I'm just going to put my spacer there. And then line up where this needs to go, which is right there. It should match top and bottom. We have that, and then if you just fold it back, this is where you have that little gusset, and there is your belly band. So now we're going to move on. Let's open that up. So now we're working on these two. So this is the one with the stack pocket, these two pieces here. So now we're going to go ahead and create kind of L pockets. So I have two pieces here that are 3 3/3 by 5.5. You're going to, let me just get my scoreboard and show you. So as you can see, you're scoring at 1/2 inch on one side and 1/2 inch on the bottom. So on this one, what I do is put it in. So because I need these pockets to be like mirror image, I'll score at a 1/2 inch, rotate up, score at a 1/2 inch. And then this one I'll put in, and I'm going to score at 3 1/4, and then rotate it up and do 1/2 inch. That way you'll get the L pockets. If you do score them both the same on this, like do it the same way, just fold it back. It's not going to matter. You don't need to have bumps and dents, valleys. You just fold it the other way. Just make sure you put your tape on correctly. So for this, I'm going to chop off the corner like that. And then I'm just going to chop down a little on those two. And then the same thing for this side. Okay. And then just fold back. Make sure the corners don't overlap. It is a pocket, so I want to make sure I burnish these. So this one here is going to go on this side. And then this one here is going to go on that side. So let's go ahead and stick those down all the way to the edge and all the way to the bottom. Like that. Looks good. We're going to stick it down. Like that. And then this one here, which is on the back side of my stacked pockets. Again, same thing. Just like that. And this one. Burnish it down. Now we're going to go ahead and work on this center piece here. So for that piece right there, you're going to have 2 flaps. It's going to go on the bottom and the top. These are 5 1/4 by 3 1/4, scoring on the 3 1/4 inch side at a 1/2 inch. This is piece F. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these ones down now. And these are going to go just like that. So center it to the space all the way to the bottom. So you have it where you like it. Stick it down. And now you could do decorative corners on these little flaps. You can do all kinds of things to them. So, and I just got to turn my book because I cannot see the top. So same thing all the way to the top. And that looks, I'm eyeballing it, so it looks like it's lined up to that bottom one. Like that. So this is what we have right now. So all this just folds over like that. And there we go. If you want, you can even chuck that little photo mat in here, but we're going to go ahead and add some photo flaps, or mats rather, inside there. So now, if we come over to this side, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing again to this side. So this would be flap 5. And let's go ahead. So we're just going to do everything the same, but opposite on some of the stuff. So like the flap will go on the left side versus the right side on that other one. So let's just go ahead and do this one real quick, because it's the exact same thing. So this one here is piece A. Then we have our 2 B's. And we're going to trim the bees. Again, just cutting off the corners a little bit off to the first score line. So that's what you have. And fold it back. So we're folding it like this. You can still see that second score line. We're going to attach it close to where the book folds, but not quite on it. So we're leaving about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe even an 1/8. Not too much though. And we'll stick that one down. We have that. And now we're going to put the other side on. And this one, same thing, all the way to the edge. Making sure we're lining it up. And let's just stick this one over. Looks good. Let's stick this one down. And this is what we have right now. So it's opposite. So now we're going to take our A flap and it's going to go on top of, let's open it up. Hold that down so it's nice and flat. This is our B, it's going to go on the top of here, right up to that score line. And when it looks good. And remember, you want to make sure it's right up on top of that score line because of our stacked pockets. So we're going to have those right now. So this is piece C. So we're going to cut the corners. And those. And now let's just get these ones cut and then we can fold it all. Remember not to fold the bottom of these ones. Oops. Okay. Now we're working on the one where we just added the flap. Let's get that out. That's distracting on the camera. So fold these down. So make sure nothing is touching. And then these ones here, just the sides. Burnish those ones. And now we can put that together. So we're going to take our bottom pocket. This is the flap. And it's going to go right on. It should fit side to side, top to, I did that again, side to side, top to bottom. Side to side and bottom. And looks good, so I'm going to stick it. Oh, sugar. Okay, so that one I just crooked. Just going to undo it. Oops. And right there. Give that a second to dry. Let's get rid of some of the mess. Okay, that looks good. So we can stick the sides. Oops. My undo is a little on there. So make sure that's even. Again, making sure that your flap is still free moving. We can go ahead and add our stack pockets now. Lining up good. that one, and then this side. I can only do it that way because I have nails. If I don't have nails, it's a little harder to pull that tape off. But if you have a problem with it, you can always just get it pre-started like that. And then stick it in there. So we're lined up, and then all you got to do is just peel it off. There we go. There is that one. Now let's go ahead and do our belly band. So we'll need this back and fold there. And here, let's go ahead and burnish those because we want it to sit nice and tight. Lining up 1 inch away from that top score line. And I'll just set this on. Looks good. It's not cooperating. Here we go. And then this one here. There's that one. Now we open it all the way up. We're going to do our L pockets, which is piece E. Again, cut the corners off. And then same thing with this one. You have to cut a lot, just enough. And then fold back on that one. This one, make sure there's no overlap. Looks good. I'm going to give it a burnish. That will sit there. And then this one goes on the other side. No overlap again. Whoops. No overlap. And that will go on this side. So let's stick this guy down first. And then all the way to the edge on that. And then this one. So we have this one here, right on top. Yeah. Just like that. And then we have our 2 flaps. So these ones here are piece F. Fold over. That one I can tell did not fold good. Let me just rescore that one. As soon as it folded, I knew it wasn't right. And let me just burnish that one so I know I have it good. That's good. It looked crooked still, but it's not. And then this one. So we're going to go ahead, and this is the inside. So it's basically put together the same way as the other one. However, you're just putting some of the pieces on the opposite side. You don't have to. If you want to do them the same way, you can. And then let me just turn this. And that one is going to go right there, all the way to the top. Show it even. Looks good. And stick this one down. Just like that. Then we open it up, and then, so this. that's what we have so far. So now we have to work on these two. So that would be, what do I have? 3 and 4. All right, so we'll go ahead and get that one going. All right, so we are going to get started. We're going to do pages 3 and 4. I already did page 4 because I wanted to see what I was going to do with it. So 4 is done. 3 is going to be the same thing. Everything's just going to go in the opposite direction. So let me get started. So your first piece, which is A, let me move these. All right, so first piece is A, and this piece is 8.5 by 12, and I scored on the 12-inch at 1/2 inch and 7 1/4. So go ahead and fold those. And I'm just going to give this one a burnish, and then fold back on the flap. So for this piece here, on this side, I put it on the left side. So for this side, I'm going to put it on the right side. And close to the score line, but not, not score line, close to the seam here on the spine, but not touching it because you don't want it to hang up. So your B piece is going to be 7 1/4 by 3 1/2, scoring on each end at 1/2 inch and on the bottom. And you need the B piece. So there's 2 B pieces. Which am I doing here? Okay. So B piece, you have 7 1/4 by 3 1/2, scoring 1/2 inch on each side and the bottom. On these, and then the second piece is 6 3/4 by 3 1/2, and you're only going to tape on one side and on the bottom. You're not adding a score line to this side, so you don't want to do that. And then for this one, I'm going to chop that off and that. Let's see. And then on this piece, the longer one, go ahead and cut on that corner, and I'm just going to snip the edges a little. So for this piece, go ahead and fold on all the sides. And this one needs a little more trimming. So no overhang. And then for the shorter piece, you have the same. So fold on the one side and on the bottom. So go ahead and unfold the bottom pieces on both. And what you want to do now is, this is how you have the tape. So you have one without. So this has got both. Take this side here and you're going to lay this one on top. And make sure I'm lined up. Like that, and I can remove my tape. So this is kind of what we're building, is a wraparound pocket. So this is what you have right now. And I am just going to trim this piece. So now you're going to take your book, go ahead and fold the 2 sides and the bottom now. And what you want to do is take this is the A piece that you put down. Go ahead and put it right into the corner. And make sure that you are lined up with your flap. So I don't want anything hanging out. So let me get that in there again. Oops, too much. And then put this piece over here. And now take another look at it. Make sure this one here, it started to hang over on the edge, but I don't want it to because I don't want it to interfere with the pocket. So this is what you got. So I'm going to take off for this side. Stick it down. And I'm going to go ahead, open up my flap. I'm going to remove this tape. And I'm going to make sure that it lines up perfectly to the bottom. And then I can just go ahead and remove the tape from these two pieces now. Just like that. So now what you have is a little wraparound pocket. Okay. So now your next piece is going to be piece C, which is a long one. No, it's not that one. Oh, here it is. So it's a longer pocket. So go ahead and trim your corners. And little snips there and there. And go ahead and fold it. So now this piece, this is the pocket you just attached. Open it up. This is going to go right in here. And it should fit all the way top and bottom. And that looks good. And I'm going to stick this one down. And that is good. All right, so now we are going to do, so that was C, so now we're going to do piece D, which is a lot like piece A. So that one is 8.5 by 12. You're going to score on the 1/2 inch. You're going to score at 3/4 because we need to add some room when we start building up these pages, and 7.5. Move that one over. And this one. So now this one. So you put your A piece on the right side. It'll be on the left on page 4, and piece D is going to go on the left hand on page 3 and the right hand on page 4. And again, I'm going to line it up close to where that spine piece is, and then I'm going to use this side as a guide to make sure I'm even, and I am. Like that. And then you can just fold it up, and then you can see kind of right there you have a little gusset there, so your pages won't get too big. All right, so now we're going to do a set of stack pockets. So you need piece E. I just don't remember what side I put that on. Okay, it's going to go on the front. So all right, hold on. All right, so our stack pockets. Is this the right one? Yes. 3.5 by 5.5. You're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch at the 5 and at a 1/2 inch on the bottom. And then your second piece will be 2.5 by 5.5, scoring on each end at a 1/2 inch. So that would be the same at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches. Score on the bottom as well at a 1/2 inch, but do not put tape on the bottom. So we're trim this one first. And then the pocket. Okay. And this is going to go on the top flap of the piece that you just put down. So again, that is D piece. So, and we're going to put our E pockets on top. And I'm going to give these ones a burnish because I want my pocket to stay flat. And that is going to go right on top here. Make sure when you're doing this that keep an eye on the side where your fold is. You don't want it to interfere with the flipping. So I'm probably a 1/16 of an inch away. If barely even a 1/16, it's literally like a hair away. Like that, because you don't want it to hang up there. And then we'll put our other piece on. So again, I'm going to fold on my lines. And this is going to go right in top. So make sure you're lined up on your sides good. And there's that one. All right, so our next piece is you actually need 6 pieces. And these are going to be photo flaps. So you need 6 pieces at 4 3/4 by 6 1/4 and score on the 4 3/4 inch side at a 1/2 inch. And let me just fold these over. And we're actually almost done making that. And then the fun part of decorating. So I will come back throughout the video and kind of show you what I have done for papers. I'm not going to mat it on camera just because it takes a long time. And that's a lot of video to put up. So, but if you want to do it exactly the same, just go ahead and follow along when it's completed to see what papers I used. But if I decide to do anything fancy, I will be sure to show you. So open this up, and each section is going to get 2 photo mats. So the first one, and you can put them anywhere you want. And if you wanted to do landscape style, you can certainly just change the measurements to 6 3/4 to 4 1/4 if you wanted to change that. And on this one, I am coming all the way to the edge. And then in the center here. And I'm keeping this lined up with everything else. Like that. And then on this side. Oops. And then this one is going to go up here. And then on this side, Be careful of your score line on that one. How close you get, come over there. And on the top, and that looks good. And then your last piece is going to be a pocket for the bottom here. And that piece is 7.5 by 3.5, scoring on each side at a 1/2 inch. So that would be 1/2 inch and at 7, and on the 3.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch. And it's a pocket. So we're going to trim it. Like that. Now for this piece here, I'm only going to attach the bottom till I add my pattern paper. If I attach it now, there is a lot of black on the sides. So let me put this on and show you. So I'm lining it up right between. Like that. So I'm going to leave this after because you can see how much spacing is here and here, and I don't want that much black showing, so I'll put my pattern paper on first and then I'll go ahead and put my pocket down. But anyway, the design part is all done. Now we just get to go ahead and decorate it. So like I said, I will decorate it off camera. If I do anything fun, I will be sure to come back and show you. But this is what we have. So when you open it all the way up, you have a nice huge layout of photos. And then just like that. Let's see. Those down. And then that's what you, oops, wrong way. There we go. Oops, that goes on that side. So then when you have it, you can see they mirror image each other. So this way when you do decorate it and you have the book open, you have a nice pretty layout design. Alrighty, so I'm going to start adding paper. So we're going to go ahead and get started on the cover. I have completely decorated the inside of my book. Still have to add some tags and stuff, but I wanted to walk through doing the cover with you. So I've already cut out my pieces that will be on the front and the back. I did the spine already right there, and then I did right here on these sides. So those are all done. I have this really pretty seam binding that matches perfect with this paper that Tamara sent me with the collection. So we're going to go ahead and make a tie closure for this. And I also got some of these pretty flowers that she sent me. They're kind of a blue-green color. It's kind of hard to see. I also got some adhesive brads. And the paper collection also came with this sticker sheet. So we're going to go ahead and get decorating. The first thing I need to do though is go ahead and add my tie closure, because that is going to go underneath my paper. So usually on the tie closures, what I like to do is, let me get a pencil. So on the book, I like to find the center. So this is 9, so 4.5 would be the center. So make sure I'm good. And that's right there. So I'm going to make a little mark right here and right here. And I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. This way I know my ties will line up. There and there. And what I usually like to do now is take a piece of score tape and I'm going to put it over those. And that's just going to, whoop. Okay, so it's not going to tear easy. Let me get my scissors. Okay, and to the other side. And I always like to add the cover pages at the end because you toss your book around so much decorating it and sliding it that I like this part to be the last part so you don't ruin the covers and stuff. So now what I'm going to do is, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and put this right here. So I'm using the end. I'm just going to lay it right over the tape. And flip it over. And now I'm going to just guess how much I need for the tie closure. So I'm going to pull out some. And say that looks probably pretty good. I'll show you what I have as soon as I stick it. And then I'm just going to pull a little extra. So I have about this much here. So it's actually probably about a foot. So 12, 14. So it's like 28 inches because it's about 14 inches from here to here. So that would give me enough to close it up nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. And I can add my paper. So just make sure that if you are doing this, that I'm using, really it's non-directional paper, but if you are, just make sure that you are doing it in the correct orientation. So I've already added my score tape. And what I also like to do is when I do add a closure like this, I like to add extra glue to it. So whether you like to glue or tape, it's entirely up to you. But I just like to make sure like this is not going to come apart. So this was this one. So I'm just going to loosen up my score tape so I can pull it easy. And I probably need to get my hot glue gun going so I can put my flowers on. So let's get this down first. Okay. So I'm going to put this on, make sure I am all lined up everywhere. And I look even, so I'm going to hold it. That's why I loosened that. So that is stuck down. And I'm just going to remove the rest now. And then make sure I spread that glue out. Cover is super pretty. And then flip it over and do the same thing for this side. I wrote a little number 2 for the back cover on this one because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do, so I wanted to make sure I knew what pieces were going where. Okay, and then add some glue. And alongside is that one. Looks good right there. Oops. I hate when I slip it. This book, I can't press down on it because I'm going to push down on itself. So all right, and there's my cover. There's that. And now we got to cut the ties. So I'm going to bring them all the way out. We're still connected. So I'm just going to bring them all the way out even. That looks good. And cut them. Now I just don't want my seam binding to fray. Sometimes the ends, they fray. So you can either add a charm or put some glue on the end. I, however, like to put a little tie on it. And then make sure the little knot, not a tie on it, a little knot on it rather. And then it won't fray no more. It'll only fray to what's there. And just trim that up. And then this side, and then I'm going to pause and heat up my glue gun. Here we go. And turn that one down. All right, so let me get the glue gun going. Okay, glue gun is all heated up, and I am using these flowers. They're the Prima flowers. And these are watercolor floral item number 653132. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of lay them out where I think I want to put them. So in the pack, there's this really larger, pretty one. You can see how thick it is. I'm not going to use this one because it's too thick for the cover, and it would just get squished all the time. So I don't want to really use something that's going to get squished. So I'm going with the more flatter flowers. So I have that one, and I think I'm going to kind of do it like this. Maybe, let's see. I do those, and then these, kind of like that. And I also have some of the Fantasy Fibers, so we might use these. This one is, what color is this? BellFlower. So that's this one here. And I kind of think it needs a little bit of sparkle to it. So we're going to try this. I used the Fantasy Fibers when I did my bee, the bee cloth that I made. So let's see. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it on, and when I hot glue my flowers on, that's how I'm going to get this to stick. So let's see. Take those off. So I go like that. They're so pretty. Go like that. I think that looks good. That adds a little bit of color to them. You can see my light is, let's see if you can see any better. Not really, but we'll leave the light off. I think it's not washing it out as much. So I'm going to put those there, and then I have all the sticker sheets. So I'm going to add something probably to the center. So let's see. I'm kind of leaning towards Gather, like this one. I like Enjoy This Beautiful Life Together. I like this because it's bigger, but that kind of, I think, sets the theme to the book, and I don't really have a theme to it. Although Fresh from the Garden is really pretty. I do like that one too. So let's go ahead, and my glue gun is all hot, so let's work on getting these ones in. The glue strings are stuck to me. All right, so That's going to go there. And hot glue that one right on there. I could use the art glitter glue, but I want it to dry fairly quick. So we're just going to go with hot glue. There's that. And let's do this one. Let's get the bigger one down so it holds all those fibers in place. So you can see I'm being very generous with the hot glue on the back of these. And then that way it will hold my fibers. And this one. Just like that. Let those set. All right. Those are right there now. So let's look at stickers. I also have these ones here too, the adhesive brads. Let's take a look at these. So those are really pretty. So they just have adhesive on the back, and I would probably add a little bit more of glue to them just so I know they don't come off. So let's see. What are we gonna add? And I still kind of like that gather. Let's take it off and see what we look like. Does blend in there a lot. What was the other one? Fresh from the Garden. That's kind of pretty. I'm going to go Fresh from the Garden, and it does blend in tremendously, so we're going to try inking the edges to get it to stand out a little more. And I have fibers all over it already. Let's see what that will do. That kind of looks good. So let's see if we can't get the fibers out of the way. So that looks pretty good. Thinking the edges helped on that. And let's see, what else do we got? It says beautiful day. Can we put this on the top? We could do something like that. That's pretty. And it would look really cute if it put little the little brads on each side. So I think the black ones would help make it stand out. All right, and I'm just pulling off whatever fibers are not attached so they don't fall off later. But it looks like most of them are on there. Okay, so let's back to figure this out. So do I want to do the black ones? And those blue ones are pretty too. think I'm going to go with these little blue ones. So, like maybe right there, and let's make sure they're even. That looks good. So we're going to stick those ones down. Looks pretty. And let's just test the cover. I don't need my glue gun, so we'll unplug that. And let's just see how we sit when we open. So not too bad. It's not going to stick up a whole lot, so that's good. Yeah, let's see. I would like to put some of those brads here, but I feel like they wouldn't let the book sit nicely, so maybe we will just go with a sticker. So let's go with, I really like this telephone one. Oops. Not really sure how it fits in the collection, but I do like it. So will it fit? Yes. Actually, it fits perfect. So I think we're going to go like that. And do I want anything else on it? I don't think anything else is going to fit there. Good. So, oops, I don't want this one to get smudged up. And I'm not going to bother inking that one. So it looks really cute. And we have that. Let me just make sure nothing on the chipboard. Do I want another one? I like that one there. So let's go with the beautiful day. And that one. They actually seem pretty sticky, so I don't really think I need any extra, but if they do fall off, I'll go ahead and add some extra glue to them, but I think they're going to stay really nice. Anyway, that is the cover. You can kind of see the fibers there. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead, add some stickers and stuff, and get my photo mats, all of which you will have seen in the walkthrough. But other than that, it's super cute. So I will leave a link down below to all the supplies that I used from Country Craft Creations to go ahead and create this. If you make one, just go ahead and tag me in it. I'd love to see your version of this. And until next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye.